Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Now again, welcome to our biology class, and the topic we are going to discuss further again is microorganisms, friends and foe. Till now, we have studied that how these microorganisms can be our friends. That means how they are useful to us. And we have categorized these uses in 4 parts. What they were? We can just have a brief reminder of the same thing. Number 1, they were at the domestic level. Second, it was at commercial level. Next, it was medical, and then it was environmental uses. This was what we have studied till now, that friends, these microorganisms, they are our friends at a very large level, at a very large scale. But now in this session, we are going to discuss the dark side of these organisms. That means how they can cause harm to us, how they can be our foe. So that's what we are going to study in this session. They can cause harm to us. We have discussed briefly it already that they can cause damage in 2 ways to our daily life. Number 1, by causing the diseases, and number 2, by spoiling the articles or the food or the things that we utilize. So now let us begin with these topics. So these microorganisms, they can be very harmful to us, and the harm could be up to an extent that we can say they can be even fatal. Now these microorganisms, why they are so harmful? Just now we have said, because they can cause diseases. You know what are diseases? Diseases, we can say it is a malfunctioning of our own living body system. Means what? When your body is not functioning properly, the metabolism is interrupted, then such a situation is known as disease. So these diseases, they can be caused because of these microorganisms, or there may be some internal factors behind the disease. So these microorganisms which can cause disease in the living system, they are known as pathogens. Now here begins the dark side of the microorganisms. Which organism is called as a pathogen? It is that category which is causing disease in the living system. So such diseases can be categorized here. The diseases which are caused due to the entry of pathogen into a living system, they are known as infectious diseases. Now here we can categorize the situation. We said the malfunctioning of body is actually a state of disease, right? So here we are saying the pathogen is entering into the body. That means it is invading in a living system, and thus they are interacting or they are interrupting with the normal metabolism or physiology. So once they interfere with the normal living physiology, then definitely what will happen? It is going to be altered. And if any alteration occurs in our routine metabolism, then definitely some other products are formed, and they are resulting in the various kind of diseases. Now such diseases which are caused due to the entry of the pathogen, they are called as the infectious disease. Now you can understand here, if some disease is caused because of entry of a pathogen, then it is infectious, and if the disease is caused without the entry of the pathogen, or when the reason is not a pathogen but some other factor, then such kind of diseases would be known as non-infectious diseases. Can you think of some examples here? They could be like some genetic diseases. They could be some metabolic, or we can say diseases which are caused due to deficiency of certain essential components. So in those cases, the pathogen, microorganism is not involved. So such diseases in which the pathogen is not involved, they are non-infectious diseases. Can you think of certain examples to just clarify the difference between the infectious and non-infectious diseases? They could be, let us say, infectious viral diseases. You must have heard the student is not coming to class since few days. What happened? He is suffering from viral disease or a viral fever. So in that case, the cause is virus, which has altered the normal physiology, due to which the high temperature has occurred. The body temperature has been altered. So that is a disease. Now fever is a symptom. Disease is a fever, a kind of fever. To be more clear, let us say typhoid. Typhoid is also a kind of fever, but in that case, the causing agent is not virus. It is caused because of bacteria. So bacteria is an infectant, That is, it is a pathogen. So the bacteria entered the body and caused a high fever. So this change in the body temperature is a symptom. Disease is typhoid. Whereas the symptom, how we come to know, yes, you are suffering from typhoid, because there was some change in the temperature. Then doctors or physicians, they have suggested for certain blood tests, and from that we have confirmed that it is because of the bacteria. Which bacteria causes typhoid? It is S. typhi, Salmonella typhi. This typhi is an example of a microorganism. Which type of microorganism? Pathogen. So it is a harmful organism. On the other hand, non-infectious disease, examples could be like diabetes, we can say it could be like night blindness. So there are so many, and we are not going to focus on that as it is not in your syllabus. So for infectious diseases, we can relate them with the communicable diseases now. You can understand it from the term itself. The word is communicable. What you mean by communicable? Or the communication? Interaction, a transformation of the information, isn't it? So in this case, when we are saying it is a communicable disease, so what we mean by this is, we mean the diseases, they can spread from one person to the another person. So those which can be transferred from one organism to another organism, they are known as communicable diseases. Now, how these are related to the infectious diseases? It is because the cause behind such diseases is again the microbes. And we know that microbes, they are responsible for infectious diseases. So in short, we can say that all communicable diseases are infectious because they are being transferred either from one person to another, directly or indirectly. It is never so that if we come in contact with the patient directly, then we will catch the disease. It is true for some of the diseases, but not for all. So the question is then how these diseases spread. We are saying it is spreading from one person to the another. What does this mean? If I am saying it is not because of direct contact, then what are these spreading means here? That's what we are going to study further in the session. So, these communicable diseases spread, and that is for sure. But how? It depends on the type of the infectant, the source from where it is going to spread, and is of course because of the entry of the infectious agent, that is pathogen. So, these means of spread, broadly we can categorize them in 5 categories. What are these 5 categories? First, they can spread through air, or they can spread through water, or through vectors, due to contact, either direct contact or indirect contact. In short, these could be the means of spread of various kind of diseases. Now, again, make it clear. Spread of disease. From this, what we mean is the spread of pathogen. Disease is caused because of the entry of the pathogen. So disease is actually not spreading. What is spreading here is the invader, the pathogen. And when this pathogen enters the body, disease is automatically spread. This is how the diseases are spreading in our community. Let us now understand each and every means of these spread. So first, let us begin with the spread through the air. We all are surrounded by the air, and air is very essential for us. This we know very well. Since beginning we are studying this fact. Air is supplying oxygen, so it doesn't mean that out of the entire air the oxygen is filtered and then entered into your body. No, what happens is we take inside the air the entire content, It is never so that what particles are present. These are not filtered outside, rather it takes place inside the body itself. So the air, what we inhale inside goes to the lungs, right? From the lungs, the oxygen will diffuse inside as the concentration is high over there in the air as compared to the living body or the living cell. So what will happen? Oxygen will go inside and CO2 will come back in the air and we will exhale the remaining air outside along with the other contents. Now, we say the diseases can spread through the air. So this air, and we have studied earlier that the microorganisms are normally living in the air also. Air is a natural habitat for the microorganisms. So now what happens? When we inhale this air, the pathogen will also enter into your body. Air contains the microorganisms. When we breathe in, then what will happen? When we breathe in, these pathogens which are present in the air, they will go along with that air into your body. And if we breathe in such an infected air, we are exposed to the contaminants or we are exposed to the pathogens. So, one of the possible route for the entry of these pathogens is your breathing system, is your respiratory system. So, generally, when this air is a means of spread, then the possible pathway for the entry of these organisms in our body is going to be your respiratory system. So, as it goes inside, it will go into your bloodstream further and then it will reach either the target site, or else it will cause the diseases which are related to your respiratory system. Can you think of certain examples now? It could be, yes, as written here, like cold, like cough. These are the very common examples that can help you in understanding such type of diseases or this kind of spread. Now, one important point here, such diseases which are caused because of which are spread because of the air, they are known as airborne diseases. Now, can you give me example of these diseases? Exactly, we have just studied, we have just discussed. That is cold and cough, a very common example. Besides, we can also say certain kind of pneumonia, TB, tuberculosis. All these comes in the same category. Now, here is the picture which is shown in this slide. That's how the pathogens are actually being transferred. We can say why we have highlighted this picture, because air is the source for the spread of the disease. But we are saying the diseases which are spreading from one person to the another are called as communicable disease. So how this communication occurs? It is not directly from the air, rather when there is a patient, suppose this is a patient, the first organism here is a patient and is having some throat infection which might have continued, which might have spread up to its lungs level. So what will happen? If they cough out, if they sneezes out, if they are talking normally, so what is happening? The droplets will be coming out into the surrounding. So these droplets, they can reach up to a particular distance depending upon the force with which it has been ejected out. For example, if we cough out or if we sneeze it, the distance traversed by these droplets will be more and more longer. Or if we are simply talking, then the distance would be comparatively less. But up to a distance of 2 meters could be covered by such droplets. Now these droplets, they are containing the pathogens which are residing in the respiratory system of this particular patient. So now as it comes out, now the pathogen is present in the air. So another individual who is present in the surrounding region, now what will happen? They will take up these droplets. They can breathe in these droplets along with the air, and along with that droplet, the microorganism can pass into the respiratory system, and thus they will start multiplying inside the another host body and causing the disease further again. Now this is why you must have heard that when there is a spread of various diseases like swine flu or related type of diseases, doctors are continuously suggesting, our major agencies, they are just giving out the instructions to be followed so as to use them as the prevention against the diseases. Can you think of what precautions we can take? How we can prevent from these diseases? Although it is difficult, but prevention is still better than cure. So, use of mask. Avoid going in the crowded area during the spread of certain diseases. So, these are certain things by which we can protect ourselves from the disease. Further, another way in which the disease can spread is water. Water, again, a second essential component we are taking in our body. As air was so essential, we cannot survive without that. Water is also equally important. Now, how do we take in the water and where it is present? Water is a natural resource present in our surroundings in the form of ponds, in the form of streams or lakes or etc. And water department is supplying the water to our home also. Or at home we are using the booster pumps and all for the drinking purpose. There are many uses of water in our daily life, right? We are drinking it, we are using it for cooking food, we are using it for, we can say like daily home activities like washing utensils or clothes or etc. Many uses, the use of water is unlimited. Now when we are using this water, and we have studied earlier that water is a second natural habitat for the microorganisms. Now what? You can imagine, as we have studied in the case of air, spread through the air. We inhale air, it goes into your respiratory system. Now what will happen with the water? We are drinking it, we are cooking, we are using it for cooking purposes. So in the either case, we are directly taking it orally. And if we take something orally, then it will go into your digestive system. We are using the daily activities, cooking and drinking purposes. Now, how this water can spread the disease? It is because it may get contaminated. Now, how this contamination occurs? Before that, do you know what we mean by contamination? Contamination means addition of waste or unwanted material in the water bodies. Or not only this, even the removal of essential components found in the water, even that is also called as the contaminated water. Here we are saying it is getting contaminated, contamination with respect to microorganisms. But how these microorganisms are contaminating, how they are being added in the water? It is because of the addition of waste or mixing of this fresh water with the sewage water. These are the basic ways in which the contaminants or the pathogens can get mixed up with the fresh water. And definitely when we use this fresh water, it is going to infect us also. So how this sewage water mixing or addition of waste is giving rise to the increase in the number of microorganisms? Another point to be understood. So basically what happens here? Waste, which is the unwanted particles. Now these unwanted particles which are thrown in the outer part, they are actually having the decomposers or the living microorganisms. And this we have studied earlier also. So these waste, whenever it is let down openly, they will actually become a source of rich colonies of the microorganisms. Now as this waste, which is already enriched with the microorganisms, if it gets mixed with water, or if the waste is thrown directly into the water, so such disposal system can actually increase the number of organisms. Similarly, sewage water. Sewage water means the one which is coming from the sewer lines. The fecal material from the homes. It is being disposed into the chambers, and then from the chamber it is being disposed into the sewage system. And then in the sewage system, they can, if get mixed with the fresh water. It happens actually not commonly, but rather it may happen. So if it happens, it can actually increase the microbial count in the fresh water. So why the sewage water is actually from where it is carrying the microorganisms? Another point that should come in your mind. If it is a fecal waste, then from where the microorganism is coming? The reason is, number one, itself it is a waste, it is containing some undigested particles. So natural microorganisms can grow over that. Or else, we can say the living body system, they have intestine, and there is the normal residence of various microorganisms. Now such organisms which are present here in the intestine, now such type of organisms are called as enteric bacteria. So what will happen? If this enteric bacteria, the normal bacteria residing in the intestine, if it increases in its number, then it will be ejected out from the body along with the undigested food material or along with the excreta. And when this excreta containing these enteric pathogens is disposed in the sewage water, and it is by chance getting mixed up with the fresh water, then definitely the organism from one's body can be spread. And this is how the water gets contaminated. Now the water has got contaminated. Another point is what? How it is going to be communicated. So we know, we have already studied that water is essential for us. We are continuously using it in different ways. What is going to happen? The contaminated water is used up by the other organisms for drinking or any other purposes. And this kind of bacteria, this kind of water, which is already containing the pathogen. So this pathogen directly enters into the body. In this case, you can imagine what type of diseases can occur. In general, we can say it must be related to the diseases of your digestive system, like dysentery, or we can say like diarrhea, or we can say like vomiting, stomachache. Now these are the symptoms. Cholera, diarrhea, they are almost, they have similar type of symptoms. They include the vomiting, they include the loose motions, they include stomachache. So these are certain common type of symptoms which are observed. But where is the difference? Difference is in two ways. Number one, the causing agent, the type of pathogen which has been diagnosed, which has been examined or observed in the laboratory. These can be a bacterial disease, but the bacteria behind each case is going to be different. Here lies the difference. Second, the symptoms. Although they were the normal, we can say the stomachache or vomiting or loose motion and so on. So, what type, the consistency of these samples, stool sample, that vomiting, or the position of stomachache in your abdomen, which part is actually having this ache, that is the another thing. If it is like, we can say the vomiting, it is only watery, that, or the loose motion, if it is simple water, completely dilute, then the cause is different. If it is green in color, the cause is going to be different, as in the case of dysentery. Whereas in diarrhea, the color of stool sample is going to be different. And of course, the content of water, frequency of these loose motions, all these are actually deciding that which type of pathogen is causing the disease. Now, if such samples, where they will be disposed, they will go, they are going to be disposed in the sewage system. And from sewage system, they can be added to the freshwater system. If this fresh water is used by other organisms, the disease can be communicated. This is how the water is another responsible way for the spread of the disease. We can see the diagram here. It will be more clear. See, in this case, the organism is here. It is shown that the fecal material has been disposed in the open field. So now when it is disposed in the open field, what will happen? The one way was, it was added into the sewage system. From sewage system, it was mixed up with the fresh water. Now here the diagram is highlighting the other side. It is also a common way. Many people follow it. If it is discarded in the open field, then what will happen? Various flies will sit over it, or even the food may get contaminated. So now these articles, or we can say if the patient is not following the hygiene conditions and they are touching the utensils or other articles directly, then all these can be directly used up by the another person. Other person may also get exposed to certain similar type of bacteria or the pathogen. This is how the one person is which is having this disease can expose the organism in your environment, and from environment the another person may catch it directly or indirectly. See, the diagram is showing it is having this material, the waste or the food. See, the waste is here, flies are shown. They will sit over these material and they are going to use the things, the food material coming from the field, and food gets exposed to the organism. Now foods can be directly consumed by the living organism, or houseflies can transfer it to the different sites, or it may get mixed up with the freshwater sources, or if we are touching the articles directly, then they can be directly consumed by the other living organism. And this is how the disease or the pathogen is actually spread, and it is being used up by the another organism. So this is how these diseases are actually being communicated, and this is why we are calling it as a communicable disease. Examples are common as we have studied now, cholera, then you can say like typhoid or dysentery, diarrhea, and so on. The list is endless. So now further we will study the other ways in which the diseases can spread via vector and via the other resources like direct touch or indirect touch. So thank you so much. Study well. We'll meet you in the next session. Till then, goodbye.